my particular um, parents were, as they would say, not. They didn't fulfill the principles. And so when these type of days come, um, I just focused on being me. I don't. I've let all of that go, and I have a lot of people in my life like George who needs someone to vent because he misses his mother so much. And he looks at my situation and sometimes he says, you know, I don't think that regardless of what you suffered, I just don't understand how you could be the way that you are in terms of your parents. And I just told him, well, it's the way my life was designed, bro. I mean, of course, I went through the I went through the entire process of acceptance, you know, because whoever your parents are, the creator designed your journey. And therefore your journey is chosen to be a certain way by way of who your parents are, who your siblings are, who is your physical family. That's the way it is. That's the design. The design is not a common design to where everyone's parents is going to be this way. Everyone's sister is going to be this way. Everyone's cousin, you get what I'm saying. Everyone's an individual. And so when it comes to everyone's life journey, even though there are going to be some very common similarities, there's going to be some individual and personal designs for everyone on this planet to walk. And I've just come to realize mine, just like everyone should come to realize and accept their own. I mean, I have some siblings that always criticize me, but he's always holding on to the past and this and that, but all at the same time, I care less what they do. It doesn't mean anything, because I've come to understand my life journey and I've accepted my life journey for what it is and not what I wish it to be. I've found my conflict and my pain in trying to enforce my design in terms of my parents and my siblings of what I thought that it should be and what I wish it to be. And it wasn't there. It just wasn't there for me. I mean, even with my coming out here to Las Vegas, cultivating my own family. And regardless of how I thought that it should be and how I wish it to be, it wasn't so. And so what you have to do, you have to accept things as they are. And after everything shatters, the only choice that you have in your life design is to pick up the pieces and deal with the pieces that are left, and you have to continue to move forward because life is forward motion. It's forward motion. And regardless of how a lot of us wish that it is or what it should be, the reality is, regardless of how you think it should be, you have to accept the reality for what it is. Take it for what it is, accept it, and move forward. In reference to the challenge, Mother's Day challenge video, and the video that I put right before this one, I want to address that. I understand. I can't say that I understand wholeheartedly of experiencing a Mother's Day for the first or second time or for the rest of your life if your mother has passed on. But what a lot of people fail to understand is the importance of the acceptance of death. And a couple of my videos that I had made when I was dealing with the attachments, the dangers of attachment. Now, a lot of people tell me, you would never understand wholeheartedly the pain that we feel because your mother is still living. I agree with that. I agree with that. But I also continue to say that for people as myself and other people like that, like myself, considering our historical accounts of our mothers or our parents in general, you guys are mourning because you had parents who were actually parents. What we have to deal with is that time coming when these particular parents pass on who never fulfill their divine principles of what being a parent is. They never fulfilled that. So our mourning is different. You guys' mourning is missing the love and the compassion and the relationship with your mothers and your parents in general. We, on the other side of that fence, we mourn as well. See, y'all mourn of what you had. We mourn of what we did not have. That's the distinction. One is not worse than the other because pain is pain. Okay? Pain is pain. But the problem is this, is when y'all say, it does not matter what someone did to you. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter what they did. You have to forgive them, whatever the case may be. To say that someone's pain and anguish and betrayal has no meaning, it's flat out offensive, especially coming from some people who had what we didn't have. Now, are we walking around feeling sorry for ourselves? No, we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. You guys, your community, you might as well say, I'm gonna stop saying you guys, but those of you who are on that level also will never understand our pain of not experiencing what we were supposed to experience in terms of what you were blessed to experience when it came to your parents. And it's incredible of how I have to sit here and explain this, because to me this is a bit childish. That most people may say, oh, this is a grown ass man, blah blah blah. All that grown shit that y'all be talking, it doesn't mean anything. I'm just explaining something to you. All right? Because see, a lot of people say, I even heard Minister Louis Farrakhan say one time, well, I don't see it doesn't matter what your parents did to you. Nothing should affect you to that degree to where you don't pay honor to your parents. It's easy for you to say. It's easy for a lot of you to say that simply because you are Minister Farrakhan. It doesn't imply that you're correct. See, because to my understanding and to a whole lot of people who I've discussed that with, even when I first heard that for the first time, this was years ago, they didn't agree with it. See, your experience with your relationship with your parents is indifferent than ours. And so when you speak of uh, our community, you might as well say, in terms of the people of ourselves who have experienced the non-fulfilled parents because they compromise their divine principles. You can't speak for us. You cannot speak for us. You can only speak for yourself. So why don't you just stay on that side of your fence? Because all I'm hearing is a whole lot, and all I'm seeing is a whole lot of people attacking us simply because you had good parents and your feelings are hurt and you're all emotional. And then when you experience people like us whose parents are still here and we decide not to pay them honor and respect because of the way that they treated us, you guys have a problem with that. Well, you should do this and you should do that. You don't know how it feels. See, you're caught up in your pain. Why don't you, as the Bible says, why don't you go mourn with those who mourn? Go over there on your side and mourn with others who are mourning for their mothers during this Mother's Day. Because obviously you can identify with those. And y'all look kind of foolish trying to attack other people who cannot relate to your experience with your parents. It's easy to say this is a complex issue, but it's really not. It's really not complex. It becomes complex when y'all cross the line and criticize those who have not been blessed as you've been blessed in order to experience parents who actually did what the hell they were supposed to do. That is what it is. And even when my friend George said, I don't understand how, you can feel like that, because no matter what she did and no matter what she's doing, that's still your mother. Yeah, it is. It's still your mother, it's still your father. So you're supposed to just put up with it. Still your mother. So you're just supposed to accept. You're just supposed to accept it. And no one is supposed to discuss it or anything like that. And then when they reject times of when you're trying to communicate with them so that you can get past all of this and try to get some resolve, they've done so much ugly that they don't want to look at themselves. And then you got other siblings that's going around saying, oh, you just holding on to the past. And this is the primary sibling that benefited from what you benefited from. And they created a wedge in between you and the same parent and turned your parent against you because they wanted all the attention for themselves. So before y'all start attacking people and criticizing people and telling them how they should respond and act towards their parents simply because you actually had a parent and people like us only had them here physically, but not based upon principle. Do some proper investigating, ask some questions, and see why a person is thinking and feeling the way that they're thinking and feeling. Do some investigation. And unless you do some investigation, it's best that you just be quiet. Okay? Because the only way that you're going to really know what you're talking about, you have to do some research so that you can understand both sides. You have to be willing to understand where someone else is coming from and what type of situation and therefore environment created their way of thinking and feeling before you just condemn them. Don't be like the disciples. This is why Yeshua had to take them idiots up in the mountain and talk to them and give them the be attitude that they may know how to approach and treat the people and talk to the people. Okay? Before you condemn, you do research. Before you criticize, do research. And with that being said, y'all have a good evening. What a lot of people got confused with in terms of the past video, they wanted to know what is indeed the Great Divide. And I found it strange that, considering what the video was talking about, I felt like even though I didn't directly address exactly what the Great Divide was, all I was talking about was the Great Divide within the video. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this time to explain to you what the Great Divide is. In fact, when it comes to a very sensitive subject of losing your parents, I've made a whole lot of videos in regards to parents not living up to their divine principles in terms of being parents. I talk about that a whole lot, and I think that I would think that I've talked about that enough for a whole lot of people to understand. When a video like the Great Divide comes up, I figured they should automatically know what I'm talking about. But the Great Divide is when times like this come, when your parents pass away. The divide is this: some mourn because they had good parents who lived up to the divine principles of what they were supposed to be. Those people mourn because they had good parents. And it's easy for them to, I would say, grieve in the common sense that all of us should grieve, because those parents lived up to those divine principles that the Creator had imbued in them as parents. And so when you're treated right all of your life by way of your parents, who are supposed to be the closest people to you in your life, that are really not supposed to do any immorality to you, when you, I won't say lose people like that, but when those type of people reach their time to where they are supposed to leave the planet Earth in terms of their time in their flesh, we go through this stage where most would say it's a form of an attachment, to where we are no longer able to enjoy the love, the respect, and even the admiration that our parents had for them, and for us, and the admiration that we had for them, simply because they were good parents. They fulfilled exactly what they were supposed to fulfill in terms of what the Creator created them for, and what the Creator created us out of them for. So we understand why you mourn. We understand why you mourn. And we also understand why you try to criticize people as us, who didn't have parents on that divine level. We had parents that were in opposition of what the Creator created them as parents for. And so we grieve in a whole nother sense. Now, the way that we grieve is that we grieve because those parents who did not fulfill the divine principles
of the reason why they were ordained parents, they didn't fulfill those things. So going in opposition of the type of parents they were supposed to be, we suffered the abuse, the neglect, and all of those. So that when those parents um, pass pass away without resolving our differences, we grieve for another reason. We grieve because of not having what you have. We grieve because of feeling unfulfilled. And so we're put in the position to where we can't grieve like you. And that hurts us, the fact that we can't grieve like you. We should be grieving for our parents in the same way that you grieve for yours, but we can't. And that's not our fault. So that's a great divide, that the parents who were real parents and the parents who were in opposition of the divine principles of what your parents fulfilled, our parents didn't fulfill that. So you grieve because you miss your parents because of all of the love and the respect and everything that they gave you. We we don't miss our parents. Now people may say, well, that's evil. Well, don't blame us. See, the way that we miss our parents is in a sense to where we miss what we never had a chance to experience. So we are left to feel unfulfilled. And so when we have no tears or barely any tears at their funerals, or we don't show up at all, then people like you guys who had very good parents mock and shame us when you don't know our story. And due to the fact that y'all listening to people like Farrakhan and common people who had good parents, when we try to explain to you why we think and feel the way we feel, you don't want to hear it. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't care what they did to you. I don't care what they say to you. It should never affect you in a way to where you have no tears or no honor and respect for your parents' passing. Honor and respect has to be imbued in the children so that when times like that transpire, these children will be able to grieve as you grieve. We will be able to mourn with you as you mourn. That's the great divide. Some of us had good parents. Some of us had parents that were assholes. That's the great divide. And so there's a whole lot of people who had parents that were alcoholics, drug addicts, and then when they eventually killed themselves because they don't care anything about themselves and therefore how their death is going to affect their children, because they didn't really care how their lives had affected their children, those children suffer. And as time goes on, those children will say, they will be full with a lot of collusion, even during the time of their death. Oh, mama was so sweet. Mama was a good person. And daddy was a good person. They're trying to convince themselves what they wish their parents was. And the reason why they're trying to convince themselves and everyone else that their parents were these things is because they know that their parents were not. They were not good parents. They were not. And that's just the reality of it. And if it's one thing that I've learned in my life is that, and I'm pretty sure a whole lot of you have come in contact with this, if it's one thing that people refuse to accept, is the reality of what is. I'm the type of person to where if I'm at someone's funeral and if this person wasn't a good person to my understanding based upon the way that they treated me, if someone asked me, would you like to say a few words? due to the fact that I didn't have a good experience with this person, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. You know, people say, well, you have to respect the dead. Well, you should go up there and say a few words. You know, you should respect the dead. Now, a man like me, oh, you want me to say a few words? Okay, let me go up here and respect the dead. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to speak how this person was in my particular life. And if it offends people, hey, you say respect the dead, I'm respecting the dead by telling the truth. You could have left me in that seat out there when I chose not to say anything. See, there are some people who would rather just be silent. There's some people who would rather not show up. Now, a whole lot of people may say, well, that's disrespect. That comes from people like yourselves who had good parents. That's just like in that movie, Fences, that Denzel Washington was in. When he caused his son to feel as though all of his life, his father never even liked him, and therefore his father never loved him. And so when he passes on, he came to his mother, you know, while he was in his military uniform, and he told his mother that he don't see no reason why he's even here. And he said he's not going to go to the funeral because after all of the abuse that he suffered, he has to utilize this time to say no to him. And then all of a sudden his mother slapped his face and all of that bullshit. But I'm not talking about her. I understood where this young man, how he was feeling, and I also understand why he was still present here. Because he was going through a conflict. I should be here for my father, even though I don't want to be here. And one of the reasons why I know that I should be here is because of the instinctive love that I have inside of me because of this man, in spite of the way that he treated me. But due to the fact that he treated me to the point to where I've come up all my life feeling as though he never liked me, that part of me rejects going to pay my respects because I have no respect. I get it. And this is what a whole lot of you don't understand. And it puts you in a position to where you can quickly criticize others who are in our position. It's easy to criticize others. But due to the fact that it's easy to criticize others in our position, should help you understand how ignorant a whole lot of you sound because you quickly criticize and judge people without doing research. Instead of criticizing people, putting them down, mocking people, why don't you ask some people, why do you feel like that? What did he do or what did she say to make you feel as such? The ultimate betrayal is the betrayal of your parents towards you. And I'm not even going to get into that real deeply because I've already made other videos based upon that in terms of the instinctive love and the established love. But that is the great divide. That is the great divide. Some of you mourn because you had good parents. Some of us on the other side of that dual component, we mourn because of what we didn't have. And it's much easier, and it's much more difficult for us to deal with their death because they left here without resolving their issues with us. So I'm gonna cut this short. So the whole thing is, don't mock other people during the event of their parents passing. And if they think and feel a certain way, and if they choose not to speak for their parents, and if they choose not to even show up for their parents' funeral, don't be too quick to criticize and mock them because they have their reasons. The same as you have your reasons. We all have our reasons for the way that we respond, for the way that we react, and for the way that we are. when it comes to that sensitive issue. So don't be too quick to judge and condemn people, because not everybody experienced what you experienced, and you have not experienced what they experienced. So with that being said, I'm gonna cut this short. But as I said before you open up your mouth and you want to criticize and mock somebody, you need to close your mouth and do some research and sit down and talk to these people. You sit down and you talk to them. But I know you probably don't want to do that, because that takes compassion in regards to communication. But I would suggest that you stop mocking people, because not all of us have the same experience when it comes to real sensitive issues like this. So with that being said, everyone have a good evening, and peace. Stay human.